Oh, jeez. Almost ran into the tripod here. I'm excited for today's episode. I hope you guys are too. How's it going, everybody? My name is Eric and welcome back to Out of the Groove. Today's episode, another fun one. You know, it's the off season, so we're still doing some 2018 year in review type stuff. You know, last week I talked about the state of NASCAR. I also did an episode where I graded every driver's 2018 season, so that was a lot of fun. But today we're talking about one of my favorite things about the sport, one of the things that sets NASCAR apart from other motorsports, the paint schemes. I mean, sure, IndyCar, F1, Rally Car, all these cars have really cool wraps, cool paint schemes, but NASCAR, that just kind of seems iconic. You know, when people used to think about NASCAR, they used to think about basically 200-mile-per-hour billboards. And that's still basically what they are today. These things are big, they're flashy, and they're fun to talk about, and they're fun to look at. So today I'm gonna be giving you my top 10 paint schemes of 2018. Only a Cup Series. I could have made a whole video about Xfinity Series paint schemes, Truck Series paint schemes as well. Cup Series usually has my favorite, and it's also worth noting these are all 2018 paint schemes, no throwback schemes involved. I know there were some great throwback schemes at Darlington. Of course, Jimmy Johnson had some great ones at the end of the year, but I'm excluding those from this list because technically those aren't 2018 paint schemes. They're from previous years. So we're focusing only on paint schemes that are exclusive to this year 2018 or that were made for this year 2018. And yeah, let's dive right in. Some of these, I think most of these you've seen before, but I guess you guys can follow along at home. Number 10, I'm going with Bubba Wallace's Click and Close number 43 Chevy. He ran this car for the Daytona 500. I made a video last year, earlier this year actually, that I gave you guys my top 10 paint schemes of all time, and this was pretty high on that list. And at the beginning of the season, when I first saw this at Daytona with the purple, with the blue, oh, I loved it so much. But I'll be honest, it's kind of waned on me a little bit since then. I used to think it was like the greatest paint scheme ever. Now it's still very pretty. It's worth the spot on this list, but it's fallen out of my top 10 probably of all-time paint schemes. I still love purple cars. I'm excited for Jimmy Johnson's Ally car next year because I'm assuming that car is gonna be pretty darn purple. I love purple cars. I love blue cars. This is the best of both, but I don't know, I guess I kind of just got tired of it. It's also rough seeing this, you know, basically run 30th every week. You don't see it on TV that much, so it's kind of just kind of faded on me a little bit, unfortunately, but still good for number 10 on my list. At number 9, we have Kyle Larson's DC Solar / Credit One Bank Chevrolet. This one kind of snuck up on me. He only ran it, this exact paint scheme, as far as I know, at the Homestead Miami finale. He ran a similar version to it last year, but looking at it this year with the Camaro front end and everything, it's a beautiful paint scheme. I like his regular Credit One car a lot. I like the blue, I like the design on it, but this one I really like the white roof with the dark blue numbers. That honestly, like if you were at that race in person looking down and you see the roof really clearly, that had to be just eye-catching. Running that wall at Homestead, I'm sure that was a lot of fun to see. It was a shame he kind of damaged this car up a little bit, but when it looked clean during practice qualifying at the beginning of the race, it was beautiful, good enough to be number 9 on my list. I had to put, you know, at least one Kyle Larson car. He had some good paint schemes this year. We might see more of him coming up later. At number 8, you can't forget about my boy, Matt Kenseth. He ran a lot of different paint schemes this year. He only ran 15 races, but he had a new paint scheme in pretty much every single one of them. Now, I know technically he only ran this Oscar Mayer car for the Darlington throwback race, but this paint scheme was not a throwback paint scheme. This paint scheme has never been seen on a NASCAR stock car before. They ran for the throwback race because it was a throwback to the sponsor. Oscar Mayer used to be a partner with Roush, and they came back for that race. But the paint scheme itself is not a throwback. It has never been seen on a NASCAR car before, so I'm counting it in this video, and I just love it. Not always a big fan of like orange or even yellow, and I wasn't sure how I'd like them together, but this car just looked great. I really liked it. You didn't really see anything quite like it this year on the racetrack. You don't really see big orange and yellow bright cars like this. It just looks like the sun rising on a warm fall day or something. It makes me want to go eat hot dogs. Well done, Oscar Mayer, well played. At number 7, I know I said I wouldn't put any of Jimmy Johnson's throwback cars on here, but I didn't say I wouldn't put his patriotic paint scheme from the Coke 600. Look at this thing, oh. Honestly, all of the Hendrick cars from that weekend, I think they all ran some sort of patriotic scheme. Bowman's was really great. I liked his a lot too. I almost put his on this list, but Jimmy Johnson's was definitely my favorite. I wasn't sure about the white front end at first, but the way it like streaks down the side with the stars, I love it. It's great. Honestly, I could stare at this thing for hours. Gotta move on. At number 6, whoop-de freaking do, we got ourselves another Bubba Wallace car. This one, you know, the traditional STP, and you just can't go wrong with these colors. I know we've seen the STP cars before, but you know, I had to even buy the diecast for this one just because this is the best like design I've seen on one of his STP cars, or any of the, you know, Almirola or Richard Petty or anybody else STP cars. This has to be the best design I've seen. It's just great. I especially love the way the front end looks on this thing with the way the red trim comes around on the headlights. This thing just looks mean. It just looks gnarly. I know it's another Bubba Wallace scheme, but at the beginning of the year, I made a paint scheme, 2018 paint scheme reaction video, and pretty much every single Bubba Wallace car had me getting out of my chair. They were beautiful. This one, no different. I know it's a classic, but you know, there's nothing wrong with some classics. You know, I love the colors. At number 5, I know this one's kind of boring maybe to you guys, but I have to put Kyle Busch's Caramel M&M's car on here. He started running this car last year. It's basically the same paint scheme he ran in 2017, which maybe just qualifies it from being on this list, but it's easily one of my top 10 favorite paint schemes of all time. Everyone loves the M&M's cars. You know, you love or hate Kyle Busch, you gotta love the M&M's cars. This one is just beautiful. I just love the blue being the base color. It's not even like, it's not a weird blue, it's not like a navy or a light blue, it's just blue. It's just blue with all these big colorful M&Ms all over the place. The back as well, you can't really see it in this photo. I might be able to pull up a different photo of it. The way it says caramel on the back, oh gosh, it's just so pretty. I love it so much. Love or hate Kyle Busch, this paint scheme is the best M&M's paint scheme I've ever seen in NASCAR. That's why I love it. Gotta put it on this list. Number 4, another Kyle Larson car. I told you we'd be seeing more of him. That McDonald's car looked great this year. I could have maybe put Jamie McMurray's on here. It didn't look that much, it didn't look that different. But Larson, I put him on here. I thought his looked a little bit better. The McDonald's cars in years past, I especially like, I think McMurray has one as well, where it's like McDonald's on the front and it kind of fades to black where there's like Cessna on the back. I like that one as well, but this one is, gosh, it's just my favorite. I think he ran it at Bristol. I don't know where else he ran it this year, but I wish he'd run it more. I hope he gets to run it more next year. I hope McDonald's is going to be on that car more, because just the red, the yellow, but there's a lot of black. You know, for a McDonald's car, there's a lot of black here. When I think McDonald's, it's a lot of just red, yellow, bright colors and fun and Happy Meals. A lot of black on this car, but it makes it work. I'm a fan. I want to go buy me some Big Macs right now. I won't go that far, but I think they're still doing those dollar soft drinks. Yeah, I'll hit them at McDonald's for that tomorrow. At number 3, and now these top 3, I'm gonna go ahead and say were very hard to pick between the 3 of them. It's tough for me to put this Ryan Blaney PPG car number 3. Frankly, when I first saw this paint scheme, I wasn't impressed. I kind of just saw the blue and I was like, I don't know. I didn't love it. But pretty quickly I came to my senses and realized that this was beautiful. I love the blue on the front and the streaks on the side. You know, when you're a paint company, there's a lot of pressure on you to have a good paint scheme. You know, Alex Bowman had a really good Exalta car this year. You know, the Exalta cars have always been pretty good. I remember Greg Biffle, 3M used to have like a paint car. There's the Sherwin-Williams car that you still see from time to time that in NASCAR that looks pretty great. This though, this PPG car, phenomenal. I can't get enough of it. It's beautiful. It's everything. The only way it could be better is maybe if it wasn't white at the back, but honestly I do kind of like the white too, because I like the blue and I like the white. Honestly, I don't know if you can make this car any better. It's pretty darn good. At number 2, a personal favorite of mine, Daniel Suarez's Stanley Tools Toyota. We've seen the Stanley cars before. I mean, recently, like Marcus Ambrose, you know, Carl Edwards, and even Suarez last year have had the Stanley cars, but this one looks fantastic. The back of this one especially. I like yellow and black cars. You know, I grew up a Kenseth fan. I'm used to seeing a lot of yellow and black, so I love the yellow in the front. I love how it goes to black, but the black back end of this car with the little design, and almost, when I first saw this car, it made me think of like the Batmobile. It looks like this car could like unfold itself and become a transformer or something. It looks so sharp. I hope that, you know, I guess since Truex is gonna be in this car next year, I hope Stanley's sticking around. I think they are. I'd love to see what they do next year. I hope they keep something similar to this, or at least continue. I don't know, they change the paint scheme up a little bit every year, and every year I feel like it gets even better. I'm excited to see what they do with this car next year, but this is it. So now before I get to my number 1 pick, I want to throw out some honorable mentions, some that I didn't quite put on this list. They're really close, but yeah, just throw them all out there. A lot of good ones up there, a lot of great paint schemes this season in 2018, but at the end of the day, we gotta pick our number 1, my number 1 favorite paint scheme this season in the NASCAR Cup Series. Martin Truex Jr.'s auto owner's car run, as far as I can remember, only at the Charlotte Roval. He had another auto owner's car that he ran a lot more this year, but this one was different because it was a lighter blue. It was just brighter, just popped perfectly. In fact, the only thing I don't like about this paint scheme is something that the paint scheme couldn't even control. It's the green Monster Energy trim that he had because he was in the playoffs. That I don't really think works great, but it doesn't work too bad. You know, blue-green work well together. The blue though, if I just focus on the blue, there's not much of a design here, but I think that's why it works so well. There's a gradient, you know, it goes from lighter to darker on the bottom of the car. But God, that just works so well. It's amazing, this color. I didn't know I liked this color this much. Of course, many of you may disagree with me, but God, I can't really analyze this paint scheme because there's not much there. It's just, beautiful. The color is just beautiful. I might cry. It's so good. I wish he'd won that race because the race win diecast would have been the prettiest thing. But I mean, very few paint schemes bring me to tears. And this one, oh, it's right there. I'm so glad that Auto Owners is going with him to Joe Gibbs Racing next year, because if they can just please just retire the dark blue paint scheme and just give us this for 20 races next year, I will buy every bit of Truex merchandise I can find that has this paint scheme on it. I will. I love it so much. I'm glad it was involved in that really awesome finish, so we get to see replays of it over and over again, probably for the next like decade. So that's great. I'm definitely gonna be seeing plenty of this paint scheme going forward, but I hope they run it more next year. Oh, it's so gorgeous. But anyway, there you all have it. Those are my top 10 paint schemes from this 2018 NASCAR Cup Series season. Let me know what you guys think. Were there any that I forgot? I asked a lot of you guys on Twitter a couple weeks ago to send me your suggestions, mainly so I could see them myself and make sure I didn't leave any off this list. But after all that consideration, I think we have a pretty good, I'm pretty proud of this top 10 list. I feel pretty pleased with it. I think this is pretty accurate. One of the greatest things about NASCAR, in my opinion, or one of the things that sets it apart at least, is the paint schemes. These cars are just big, and there's a lot of space to put things on them. That's why there's a lot of logos, obviously, but you know, the paint schemes are a big part of it as well. Paint schemes are what draw people to drivers. When I first started watching NASCAR, I was drawn in large part to Matt Kenseth because I loved the yellow and black DeWalt car. I just thought it looked sharp, I thought it looked mean, I thought it looked angry, and you know, in large ways, that's probably what got me into being a Matt Kenseth fan in the first place. Jeff Gordon had iconic schemes, Dale Jr., even Dale Earnhardt had the iconic black with the white number 3, you know, the Intimidator. Paint schemes are a big part of NASCAR. They're a big part of, you know, how people identify with certain drivers and certain teams. And yeah, I just like doing these videos. I think these are fun. So I hope you enjoyed. As always, you can follow me on Twitter or Instagram. Those links are down below. Or you can support me on Patreon, like these amazing Patreon supporters right here. For just $5 a month, you can have your name featured on every single episode of the show and access to behind the scenes podcasts and posts. So check out that top link down below if you're interested. I appreciate it very much. I also have a P.O. box now open, so you can send me things. I've received a couple pretty cool things already. I'll be checking it all the time, and hopefully in a couple weeks I'll make a video out of whatever stuff y'all send me. So if you want to send me something cool, and if I like it, I will show it off in a video and shout you out. So I appreciate you guys checking that out. Be sure to take advantage of that while you still can. That is down below in the description. Thanks for checking it out. But yeah, that's all for me. I'll have a couple more videos out this week, hopefully. YouTube Pro Series stuff is also about to get underway, which is something I have not talked about that much on this channel, but I will definitely be talking about it a little bit more soon going forward. That's something that we're doing this off season, so stay tuned for that. Stay tuned for all sorts of new videos. The off season is upon us, but that does not mean that I do not have work to be doing. This channel is going to be as alive as ever the next couple months, so I hope you all are looking forward to it, because I certainly am. Thanks for watching. See you guys again in just a couple days. Peace out.